Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Piano Adventures. We are very grateful that you're here with us. We got some fun things to share. In particular, we're going to focus on the introduction of the new Piano Adventures exams. We have the primer level open already for registration, and we're very shortly we'll have the level 1, 2A, 2B, and subsequent levels available. So I want to also welcome our Piano Adventures team that'll be sharing the stage with me and going over a lot of details. Now, some of you may be familiar with the exam institutions around the world. The ABRSM, which is prominent in the UK and also in Hong Kong and elsewhere in Asia, the Royal Conservatory in Canada. And these institutions are good friends. We're very supportive of their activities and their work. But what I'd like to point out, and reason we have a Piano Adventures exam, because this is the first time in history that we can have an exam system that tracks right along with your piano method. So this gives us a system of feedback that uses the very content that the student studies day to day. This is so helpful because not only are we examining the content that you're teaching, but it also allows for no interruption of momentum, no disruption. You just move through the method, and at the end of a level, we have this great opportunity then for the examination, a celebration, if you will, of the student's achievement. Let's take a moment to look at what we have on agenda for today. We could pull up a slide. Our agenda will be first taking a look at the purpose, the function of the exam. And I'll be sharing some thoughts on that functioning. And then secondly, about the theory exam and performance exam. We have two exams. So we're going to dig into that theory exam and we're going to dig into the performance exam. They can both be done, or for a particular student, you might do one or the other. And then thirdly, we'll look at the preparation, fun preparation tools. So you get ready for the exams with your student. And then fourth, how to get started. And finally, we'll close today with a questions and answer. This would be a great chance to jot down your questions. The question and answer button is there in Zoom right below. So put your questions in. We'll address them at the end. And we also have a drawing with a gift. So stick around to get to that question and answer and drawing area of this session. Well, I want to point out a few things on the exams from a kind of a framework for them. How do we see this fitting into our lesson and why? As teachers, we're in the business of teaching and learning. And it's easy to presume that because we teach, the student learns. Because we present a concept, the student learns the concept. And we have this missing element then if we make that presumption that we're missing the feedback, we're missing that opportunity for the student to show what they know. So we need to close that loop. Now, we have it to some degree in the weekly lessons, and that the student practices hard on a piece, and then they're presenting that piece to us so we can give the insight. So that's a chance for us to do a formative assessment. Formative assessment would be the assessments that are checking as we go. In other words, in that process of teaching, we're observing the students of what they know, what they don't know, what they're missing, and so we can be adaptive through that formative assessment. But imagine the value of a summative assessment. Summative assessment being a more formal assessment done when completing a level. This way, we not only highlight, but we can celebrate the completion of a level. We celebrate the milestone achievement and have a special opportunity, indeed a special event for the student to show what they know. Now, this is interesting from another perspective, too. If we think in terms of confidence, there's a process here, I think, that takes place of the student increasing their confidence. I like the phrase, I can do it. You probably heard students mention this. In fact, you probably heard children say, I can do it. The youngster, as they're growing up, develops this motivation for self-agency. So they don't want mom or dad to do it. They say, I can do it. And this is an important step of energy and motivation. So what I'd like to suggest is that we want to encourage, move towards that sense of I can do it. But in the piano lesson that starts out, And as in any other skill building activity, the student might have a question mark on that. In other words, can I do it? As opposed to I can do it. And we do have a nice situation here in that the teacher plus the student together is greater than the challenge. So when we have that dynamic of teacher and student, that can I do it becomes somewhat offset because the teacher is the advocate. The teacher is essentially implying that, yes, you can. But we want to close that gap. There's still that element of question mark because the student hasn't yet demonstrated full success. The student may have a recurring sense of, can I really do it? But they have to put in that hard work. So we run through the process. And what's wonderful about the Piano Adventures exam then is that it gives this formal setting, a formal event, if you will, for the student to show what they know. And this takes the question mark out of, can I do it? In fact, it becomes an exclamation mark where the student feels, I can do it. And that's something that we want to do. I remember very often Nancy has talked about teach so the student feels smart. And this sense of reflecting back to the student that they can do it makes them feel smart. So the Piano Adventures exam then has a very definitive function of that opportunity to show what they know and give them that sense of, yes, I can do it. In fact, I did it. It's a celebration event. Let's take a look here at the concepts or the structure of the exams. I mentioned earlier that we have two exams. We have the theory exam and we have the performance exam. So we might say we look at the language of theory and the artistry of performance. Now you might see this kind of contrast or complementarity of these exams. There's the theory, which is really conceptual. So this is the more kind of a heady, more of a left brain analytical approach, right? So we're assessing the concepts of music. But then the artistry of performance, the performance exam is where we're really looking at and acknowledging, we could say assessing to some degree, but here with the exam, it's more of embracing and acknowledging the student's expression. So this sense of artistry, of being with the music, creating the music, sharing the music from the heart, this is more of the right brain experience, if you will. And then it's complemented because that expression does come from the heart. So this rings true then for our whole element of the Piano Adventures mission, which is to develop musical minds and hearts. The concepts of the analytical thinking, the more creative and expression elements of performance, and indeed that expression from the heart. And for those of you that have been with us often, you know our learning theory of ACE, analysis, creativity, and expression. That's left hemisphere, right hemisphere, and the expression from the heart. So we're bringing in that whole element of ACE, of artistry, and indeed working towards that mission of developing in the student then musical minds and hearts. Now for piano exams, the Piano Adventures exams specifically, we can look at that mission statement and we see at the end there, as always, to develop musical minds and hearts, but specifically, how are we doing it? To provide an engaging musical experience. And I'd like to highlight this importance of the engaging, not just because it's motivational, but it's also helping the student learn to direct their attention. In other words, our activity is deserving of attention, deserving of engagement, and then the student directs their attention, which is indeed that engaging. And this is very important because it brings more energy to the student's learning process. It brings energy into the piano study. I like to think of the more we do something, the more it becomes routinized. So when the student does engage deeply, they're actually practicing by that repetition of engaging deeply. They're learning how to examine deeply. And this takes us to this next step here for the students to examine what they know. The examine is when we look deeply, and that's the prerequisite to that analysis, right? We're going to dig deep, examining deep, such that we can learn. And again, this is another very essential foundational skill. It even undercuts the analysis. It's a basis of learning. So we want to repeat this examining. It becomes a foundational experience that we want to deliberately practice. Here on the slide, we have this concept of a metaphor. We like to look at this examining as if the student is looking through a musical keyhole and examining what's on the other side. Now, what happens when we look through that keyhole, the deeper we look, the more closely we examine, then the larger that keyhole expands, and then the mind soars higher. It shifts gears, it shifts into a more expansive view, because that's a prerequisite then for that larger understanding and the larger even creativity and expression. So think of this Piano Adventures exam not so much as that we're examining the student. That's certainly part of it, right? We're acknowledging the student really with the exam, but it's also training the student to be the examiner. Indeed, Piano Adventures exams lead students to be bright examiners in the language of theory and in the artistry of performance. What I'd like to do now is we're going to move on to our next stage, and I want to introduce Theresa Cheng. Theresa is our Piano Adventures exam manager. She's been very closely working with Nancy and our whole team, our development team, in putting together the Piano Adventures exam, both in all of our programming and content development and in the operation. So at this point, it's my pleasure to introduce to you Theresa Cheng.
Thank you, Randy. I want to welcome you all officially to the Piano Adventures Exams webinar. And I'm going to go into a deep dive into what the exams are all about. But first, I wanted to just start with a quick poll. So I'm going to launch this poll. Have you and your students ever participated in an exam program before? Answer yes or no, and then I'll go ahead and share the results in a minute. If you answered yes, I'm so glad you're here, because you'll see that this is a very different exam program, mainly in its content. We have heard from other exam systems that sometimes it's a little intimidating, especially for young ones, or it might be a lot of pressure for students to take. But Piano Adventures exams are very different. It's a very fun experience, and it's definitely a more student-centered exam. And if you answered no, and you haven't participated in exams before, I'm extra happy that you're here, because if you're using the Piano Adventures books, you'll note that this ties in directly with the curriculum and books that you already use. So there's no additional repertoire or theory books for the students to purchase. They can use what they already have. So we hope that if you have not participated in exams before, we can show you why you may want to start entering students in the Piano Adventures exams. You could see here our results. We have 53% that have said yes and 47% that have said no. So it's almost an even split. So that's nice to see here. Okay, so now I'm very excited to start the debut of our brand new offering. We debuted this at the MTNA conference last month in Atlanta at the Music Teachers National Association conference. Besides the attendees there, you guys are the very first members of the public audience in the world to see this product. It's the Piano Adventures exams. Many of you as teachers are probably using the Piano Adventures methods. And as you make your way through the book, let's say the primer level, we started hearing, how do you know that the students really have learned the material in the book? Or how do we know that the performances of their pieces are well enough in their performance? And when you get to the book, you can easily just sign off on that certificate and proceed to the level 1 books. But we kept hearing feedback from teachers of how nice it would be to have some sort of assessment for the students and even for the parents to see that their child is ready to proceed to the next level. And so the Piano Adventures exams were created. As Randy mentioned, they're an online assessment in 2 areas, the theory exam and the performance exams. The theory portion is a fun online exam experience where the student can take it in the studio or at home. And the performance portion is an online video submission process. So I'm going to start with the theory exams and give you a little overview of that. The theory exams are online and on demand. So that means they can be taken anytime a student is ready. The idea is that once a student finishes, for example, the primer level material, the teacher or the parent can sign them up for the exam. And it supports all the concepts taught in the Piano Adventures curriculum. So if you are already using primer to level 5, the basic Piano Adventures levels, then this supports all the concepts there. And I want to note it's a very fun experience for the students. It's student-centered. One of the things we really wanted to focus on is to not make this the traditional exam that may be a little intimidating for students. It features our mascot trophy throughout every question, who's animated. He does things like flips and cartwheels and gets the students through the exam. I'm going to show you an example of some of the sample questions. And the primer level is actually available right now. It's immediately ready for enrollment. We do have additional levels coming soon, with the summer being the target release for level 1 and level 2A, and I'll show you a little schedule of that coming out. So if you're wondering what this all looks like, let's actually try it out. I'm actually very excited to show you because once you see it, you'll see how different this really is for kids. You'll notice when I start here, you can actually access this on our website, exams.pianoventures.com. Under resources, there's sample theory exam questions. So if you actually wanted to try this out, there's 5 questions with your students or for yourself. You can go ahead and try it. You'll notice when I start, it's very colorful. There's 1 question per page. We keep it very simple for kids. It uses Piano Ventures artwork, and it also has narration that guides the student. So I'm going to just start with a sound check because we should check that our sound is
Welcome,
working.
adventurer. Let's do a quick sound check. If you can hear this melody, choose the blue next bar.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and start with question 1.
1. Music symbols. Look closely. Which double bar line is correct?
So you could see we've used fun shapes to make this more visually interesting for kids. And when I toggle between the answer choices, you'll see the fun shapes pop out. And then when I click next, go ahead and pay attention to what happens at the bottom right of the screen.
2.
All right,
Key
so did you see
names.
trophy?
Which keyboard spells the word cab? C-A-B.
You saw from that last question, every time a question is selected, trophy will appear in a fun pose. And you don't know what kind of fun motion, it's kind of random, but the student will find out when they take the exam. Okay, so here I'm going to go ahead and select an answer. And at the top left, this is where the guided audio narration is controlled. You can replay the voice or you can turn it on or off.
2. Key names.
And this just helps young students or anyone who just wants gentle narration as they progress through the exam. We realize there could be students as young as 5 years old in the primer level who may still be learning how to read, and they may not, for example, know how to read the word keyboard yet. And so they could use the narration. So students who are very young can still take the exam. All right, 3 or 4 half notes.
3. Rhythm. How many half notes do you see? Choose the correct box.
So you can see, don't get confused with the dotted half note. There's 1, 2, 3. The students really have to know the stuff that is in the primer level in order to take and proceed with the exam. The actual exam has 70 questions, but I'm just showing you 5 sample ones here. And take a look at Trophy's animation here. Trophy moonwalk.
4. Reading. Which bass staff shows only skips?
Here you'll see some Piano Adventures art that ties into the books. This is from Into the Cave of the lesson book. And then our ear training question.
5. Ear training. How many notes do you hear? 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5? Choose the correct number.
Okay, and then I can listen again. Congratulations! And then it ends with Trophy and his friends congratulating the students for finishing the exam. In the actual exam experience, this becomes a huge animation with music, and the kids get really excited that they finished the exam. After the exam is completed, I'll show you some fun things that happen. A few more fun things happen. So first, you'll see that they'll get a certificate. The results are published within 5 to 7 days, so it's a pretty fast turnaround for the results. If a student passes only the theory exam, they're given this, which is a certificate of completion. It's a printable download in the exam platform, and it's actually signed by Nancy and Randy Faber, so it's kind of like an official assessment that the student is ready to go on to the next level. And then if they score high enough, there's actually a special area on our website called the Bravo board that students can be featured on. I'll actually show you what it looks like. If you go to our website, there's this heading menu called the Bravo board. If you click on it, you'll be able to see theory leaders or theory Bravo board, where students who scores 97% or higher can be featured here. And they'll be called a theory leader, will get their special shout out with a name, their location, if they opted in on their location, and then a personalized congratulatory message from Trophy. And we hope that we can see a lot of students from around the country and around the world that fill this area with Trophy special shout outs. Now, in terms of the theory levels that are coming out soon, you can see it goes all the way to all the levels of the basic Piano Ventures method, from primer all the way up to level 5. The concepts are tested in each theory level that are from the books. This is also on our website in our FAQ area under theory exams, so if you wanted to take a look, but this just kind of shows the trajectory for all the concepts up to level 5. And right now, the primer level is available. Students can enroll and take that exam now. We do plan to have all the other levels available soon. As far as the future levels, the level 1 and 2A exams are going to be ready this summer. Level 2B will be available in the fall, and then the other levels are expected shortly after that. Depending on the popularity of these levels, we are considering also making the exams for the accelerated Piano Ventures method as well as the adult method. If that's something that interests you, please let us know. We are going to be starting with the basic method and then be proceeding if there's enough interest for the other levels as well. So that's a little bit about the theory exam. Now I'm going to go into the performance exams. And as the students approach the end of their lesson book, they can begin practicing for the Piano Ventures performance exam. So by the time they reach the end of the level, they can submit their 3 video recordings. They are all submitted online and they're evaluated by what we call a Piano Adventures exam coach. This includes 3 video recordings based on our repertoire list that includes over 130 pieces. There's a list 1 option, which is a lively piece, a list 2 option, which is a slower piece, and a list 3 option, which we call student choice, which can be any piece from the pre-time or the core method books. There are 2 testing sessions per year, one in the fall and one in the spring. Enrollment is now open for the first fall session, which is fall 2024 for the primer level. That's going to be our inaugural session. You can actually enroll anytime throughout the year, and it'll automatically just place you into the next session that's open. What pieces can you use? There are over 130 pieces that you can select from the primer and pre-time books. So if you are already teaching and using the Piano Ventures books, you don't need to have your students purchase additional repertoire unless you would like them to explore other fun repertoire. But the books can be the books that they are already using in their lessons. So it ties in directly into the curriculum that you're already using. The full repertoire is available for free on our website. I'll show you where it is. If you go into our resources area of our exam website, you'll be able to see various resources there. And one of them is the exam repertoire list. You can go here and you can actually print it out, or you can just view it online. You can also share this with your students and parents. I'll show you what it looks like. For list 1, there are 15 pieces here, and they're from what we call our core 4 books, which are the lesson book, performance book, technique and artistry book, and the Gold Star performance book. And these are all the faster moving pieces. So for list 1, you could pick one of 15 of these pieces. For list 2, there are another 15 pieces, but these are the slowing moving pieces from the same core 4 books. And then the next few pages show the list 3 pieces, which are the selections from the pre-time piano series. So this includes pre-time Christmas, classics, favorites, hymns, jazz and blues, music from China, and rock and roll. And then all of the pieces from those core 4 books are also available as a list 3 piece. And I want to mention for list 3, they can be played with a teacher duet. So that is something that is also a little bit different. Duets, as you know, have a really rich history at Piano Adventures. I'm sure many of you use the duets and they're great fun. The duet can be played either by the teacher in the recording, or it could be played by a sibling or another student or a family member, as long as it's played with confidence and musicality. Okay, going back to here, here is an example of a completed performance evaluation by a Piano Ventures exam coach. This is Paula. She performed a list 2 piece called Bells of Great Britain from the primer lesson book. You may know this piece. And you can see the 5 grading categories that each piece is graded in. It's notes, rhythm, dynamics, presence, and technique. And presence is like posture and poise. And you could see the coach's comments for the piece. All of the categories have 1 of 3 ratings. They're either excellent, very good, or developing, and they each have a certain point number that is assigned to each rating. And in the coaches' comments, I want to point out all of our exam coaches go through thorough training to ensure they have a very warm and encouraging style. Again, some of these students may be as young as 5 years old that are taking this exam. It may be their first exam experience. It may also be their first performance experience being in the primer level. So we want to make sure that they have detailed and encouraging comments, which is so important for early student development and to keep them motivated. And then on the right, there is a toggle for the Bravo board where parents can opt in to the Bravo board, and they have to opt in order for their video to be published on our website, which I'll show you in just a moment. This is an example of the complete evaluation results that shows all the pieces. Paula here chose for her list 1 piece, Donkeys Love Carrots. Her list 2 piece is Bells of Great Britain, and this is what was nominated for the Bravo board. And then her list 3 piece was Ping Pong Song. And you can see this was graded by exam coach named Coach Prelude. And this is actually a real person, but all of our coaches have a fun pseudonym, such as Coach Prelude, Coach Sonata, Coach Trill, just to make it an extra fun experience for the student. They all have a musical name. And then you could see the coach's overall comments for the exam. This list 2 piece, Bells of Britain, was nominated for the Bravo board. So what happens there is the student's video actually gets published onto our website. As long as the parent opts in, they'll be able to go to the Bravo board and see their video here. So under the Performance Bravo board, you'll be able to see some videos here. We have the student's name, the location, if they opted in, and if with parent permission, we will also display their video here. I'll show you an example of one of the videos. So like the Theory Bravo board, we hope this area will also be filled up with a lot of different students from around the world and around the country, and we can feature them here. If the student then passes both the performance and the theory exam, their certificate will get upgraded to an exam diploma, which looks like this. You can see on the right, they can earn special badges, such as this is called the All-Star Adventure Award. This is based on the combined score of the performance and the theory exam. And it's kind of like an honors distinction that earns them special badges on their diploma. This is also a printable download. It is signed by Nancy and Randall Faber, as well as their coach. And in this case, the coach was Coach Glissando. Okay, so I'm going to go into now some preparation tools to see how you can prepare students for this exam. First, I'm going to talk about the theory prep. And if you haven't seen this publication, it's very handy for the exam. It's called the Primer Level Unit Assessments Teacher Handbook. It was published about a year ago, and we debuted this at the last MTNA conference in 2023. It's essentially like the study guide for the exam, and it's intended to be like a teacher handbook for the teacher to use in the lesson with the student. I'll show some example pages. Here's a Unit 1 page asking about the right and left hand, and you can see at the bottom there's some prompts for the teacher to use to ask the student questions. And so this is a way that you can prepare students for the exam. There is a question on the primer theory exam, for example, about what hand is shown and what finger number is shown. So by going over the unit assessments, it goes over the prep that you will need to go with that student. You can use this in private lessons. You can also use it in group lessons. It essentially just covers everything the student will need to know for the exam. The pages are very colorful and fun. It's kind of informal, but it just helps the teacher ensure that the student is ready for the exam. And I wanted to show you as a special bonus for attending this webinar, we're offering this free printable download. It is essentially a prep checklist that you can use that shows all the concepts that are going to be tested on the exam. It's on our website, and we'll be sending this out in an email along with the webinar recording. We'll also be sending out a link to download this checklist. You could see here when I open the checklist right here, it shows all the concepts on the left that are tested on the primer theory exam. And then on the right, it shows the primer unit assessment, what unit it's from and what page number it's from. And you could see all the concepts here that are on the exam. For example, if the first concept is right and left hand, that is in unit assessment 1 and page number 5. So if I go to that here, you'll see That was the one that was showing a little bit earlier, page 5, unit 1, the left and right hand. So that if you cover this, this will cover the very first concept in the exam itself. So just be watching out for an email and you'll be getting a link to that free download. And then in terms of the performance exam, we do have a huge area for you and your students to prepare for your 3 pieces. On the website, there is an area called the model performance video, where every single piece that is eligible for the exam has a model performance of a person actually performing the piece, as well as a duet video where you can hear what it would sound like as a duet. And you can use this for checking the demonstration of the tempo to make sure you have the tempo correct, to look at technique. It also shows some overhead and side angles to show the proper model performance of the piece. And if the piece has lyrics, the lyrics are also included at on the video. So let me show you an example of that. This is our list 1. So this is under our model performance videos area of the website. And this is a list 1 piece for the primer level. We do plan to have this for all of the levels. So even if you do not take the exams, this is just a very helpful area in general for you to use to help demonstrate the pieces in the books so the students can learn how a model performance would sound like. If I go to the Bugle Boys here, you can see a demonstration here. It has a video as well as a piece description of it. And I'll go ahead and play this model performance video. That's an example of the solo video. If I go to the list 3 pieces, because these can be played with a teacher duet, you could see all the list 3 pieces eligible here. There's a lot of them here. And if I go to the Bugle Boys, I'll show you what the duet now sounds like. So I can now toggle between the solo and the duet video. The duet video is actually an audio recording that's recorded by Nancy and Randall Faber themselves. They all include a listen and learn activity, so students can participate in an activity as they're listening to it. You could have them open their book and they can listen while they're participating in this activity. I would encourage you to take a look at this area because even if you are not doing the exams just yet, you can use this for virtually any piece in the primer level right now. You could go in and you could view what the video would sound like. You can show this and share the link with your students and that they could get an idea of what the piece that they're working on would sound like. You might be wondering how to do all of this. So I'm just going to show you briefly how you would get started and some steps if you are interested in the Piano Ventures exams. The first step is I would recommend for you to visit our website, exams.pianoventures.com. It has all the information that we went over today. It includes the sample theory questions, those 5 questions, the repertoire list, the entire library of our model performance videos. It is also where you go when you're ready to enroll. If you also have any questions, there's a FAQ section. There's just a wealth of information about the exams on there. The second step is to access the exam welcome booklet. This is also available for free on our website under the resources area. It's also a printable download, or you can just view it on your computer or iPad. And this is something you can read that tells you all about the exams. You could see some of the avatars, the fun avatars that students can select from once they are enrolled in an exam. And then it goes in a question and answer format of just everything about the exams. So it's pretty much everything we went over today plus more. So this is a very handy book that you could use to learn more about the exams. And then the third step is if you are ready to enroll, all the enrollment is done online. There's a yellow button here called enroll that you could click on. Either a teacher or a parent can initiate the enrollment. However, one thing to note is that all students need to have a teacher associated with the enrollment in order to proceed. We just wanted to make sure that all students have a teacher working with them in order to take the exam. And in fact, for the performance exam, the teacher will have a role and that they will need to review and approve the videos before it gets submitted to the exam coach. So the teacher does have a role in here. I also want to know if you are already a Teacher Atlas subscriber, if you input your email here, you will automatically just be logged into your Teacher Atlas account. It will pre-fill some information for you. So it's all tied into the Teacher Atlas system as well. Okay, and lastly, I just wanted to offer you a promo code so that you can try it out. You can get 50% off the exam for joining this webinar. We'll give you a promo code here. It's Theory50. And in terms of speaking about the price, if you go to our website and you go to schedule and fees, you'll be able to see how much the exams cost. We'll be updating this as more exam levels are released. For the primer level, the theory exam is $20. So with that promo code, it only ends up being $10. We wanted to make it inexpensive and affordable to give access to more students to take the exam. The primer performance exam is $50, since that includes a real human being that needs to adjudicate the exam. It is a little bit of a higher price. However, overall, it is a lower price than many of the exam systems out there. And also, if you enroll for both exams at the same time, you'll get a little discount, and it's $60 for the bundle for both. So you'll get $10 off from there. But if you use the promo code, instead of the theory exam being $20, it'll be $10. So it's very affordable to try out. You can use this with your students. You can also actually just try it yourself as a teacher. You can register yourself, just put your name both as a teacher and the student. It'll still work. And it's only $10, so it doesn't hurt to try it out. It expires on May 15th. You can enroll as many primer students as you want with this promo code for $10. And you can also enroll first and take the exam later because you have 90 days from enrollment to take the exam. If you enroll by May 15th, you'll have until about August to complete the exam. So that is it for our overview of the exams. We have a few minutes, maybe about 15 minutes for Q&A. And then at the end, I'm going to save some minutes at the end to announce our winners and to do our prize drawing. So if you have a question, feel free to type it into the Q&A and we'll go over some of the questions here. And if any of the co-hosts want to come back on, we can answer some of your questions live.
Thank you so much, Theresa. Really appreciate you sharing so much with our audience today. We've got a lot of questions here in the Q&As and a lot of exciting chats. Big shout out to so many of you that have been coming in from all around the world. Good to see you here. Theresa, maybe we can just kind of pick up on some of the questions we may have been reading or I've been reading here during your part of the presentation. I think, we covered the cost, and here we're just making it as inexpensive as possible. But of course, we need to hire the examiners and pay them. So there's definitely costs involved. So this is about as low as we feel we can make the prices. But we certainly have this promotion to help get you started also. And we're always open to feedback. And when somebody mentioned, what if you have an institution, you have a full school, and then what do you do then? Our Teacher Atlas, we have the subscription membership, but we can have an institutional membership where all of the teachers get access, so it becomes a discounted price. So we're working on that for some possibilities for institutional pricing also for the exams. But first, we're going to get them launched at various levels, and then we can refine some other opportunities. But if you do have an institution, you want to make this part of the standard curriculum, by all means, just email us and we'll see what we can do to work with you. John, you're here to help out. Everybody, I think you know John. He's our director of publishing now, in addition to the production and technology. And John's going to be very fluent in handling some of the questions here. John, have you noticed any particular questions that you're interested in answering?
Sure. I see that we have a question about what is the lowest possible grade in the theory exam?
It's a good one.
Yeah, I can answer that. The threshold to pass is 70% for the theory exam. It is also 70% for the performance exam. For the theory exam, if a student does not pass, they become a developing rating. However, we do offer the first retake of the exam for free because we know that this could be their first exam experience. They may be a young student who has never taken an online exam before, especially for piano. We do offer one retake for free for every paid exam. So although there's a 70% threshold, just you can rest assured that if a student does not pass the first time, they can retake it again for free. And it's all done automatically within the exam platform. So thanks for the question.
We want to highlight that these are children that we're working with. And so we want to make this a process that develops the musical mind and heart. So we're certainly not going to do that with insults and demoralization. This is a celebration of the student's achievement. So really the low scores, they just get acknowledged as they're developing, meaning they're on the track, but there's more to learn. And that's good feedback for student and teacher. And hopefully that'll drive them to retake the exam. Most students are going to do well. We do have the 70 questions. Someone asked a question about how long does that take? Isn't that a lot for the child? Well, we found that it's just right. We found the students are really engaged through that theory test. It really focuses them and they want to move on through. And the exam then takes about 20 minutes. So they can easily do that at home, easily before or after a lesson. And even during a lesson, you can fit it in very easily.
I see another question here about RCM. And similarly to RCM, will the Faber exams have accreditation in Ontario, Canada? At this time, we do not. However, this is something that is in discussion and it may be in the future. Since we are just launching this right now, this is a new thing for us. However, we have heard feedback that we would like to have some sort of accreditation or some sort of credit. So that may be coming soon. It is currently in development. We will be sure to announce it on our website when we do have things like that available. So thank you for the question, Mandy.
Is a particular piano required? Is a digital keyboard okay? And also the recording equipment. Is a mobile phone good enough to send in the videos, for example?
Yes. For the piano equipment, it can be a digital piano. It could be an acoustic piano as well, as long as the piano is in tune. And if the student requires the use of a pedal, that the foot pedal is there, especially for a digital piano. But any acceptable 88 key kind of digital piano is acceptable for the exam. And they are made that they can be used on a mobile device or in terms of recording, or it could be from any sort of video recording device, including a phone. And we made it so that the platform can be accessed from your phone and you can upload directly from the phone, as well as from a computer. I do want to mention that it has to be the parent that uploads the video. So although a teacher can help with the recording or do the recording and help the child record it, it has to be the parent. Just for privacy reasons, we want to make sure that it is the actual parent that is giving consent to upload the videos. So that is just one thing to note. However, once a student is enrolled, the parent and the teacher both have an account, and it's pretty user-friendly, and it'll guide you through and show you how to upload the videos through there.
Couple comments on that is we take the student privacy very seriously, and there are laws on that as well. So if you find it might be somewhat frustrating that, oh, I need the parents' approval and all, this is just all for the child's protection and your protection. And the user experience has actually worked out quite well. So just bear with those steps. But by all means, you can record that student's performance at the lesson. You can record it at home. Parent can help. But in either case, part of the channeling of the communications is to have that approval by the parent. I'm seeing a question here, a couple questions about adult piano adventures and accelerated piano adventures. And I think these are wonderful questions. We're actually quite enthused about examinations for the adult because adults need that extra acknowledgement and incentives as well. So we definitely look forward to bringing that in for the adult. And accelerated, they're just at the right age. They may need some testing acknowledgements even for piano for school and high school and so on. We're taking it step by step. It's a lot of work. And so as we work through the levels of basic piano adventures, we'll have energy and resources to move to the other accelerated and adult as well. I also noticed some comments about liking even an exam for my first. That's a fascinating request. And I like that. I think when we do that, we'll actually make some other variations on that to make that a very great experience for that young age.
There's a question from Christina. So, will there be practice tests available to students who want to practice before taking the actual theory online test? We don't have an actual practice test, but we do have the sample theory questions that are available on our website. So that will get them familiar with the interface and how the exam system will work. And then the primer unit assessments, I would say, is the practice guide and the study guide. So if you go through that with the student and use the checklist that you'll get a printable download link for, that will just give them all the concepts that will be covered. So that's kind of like a practice test, but it's meant to be with a teacher and a student, and they can go over the concepts that way.
We had a very good question about technique. Do we assess technique? And indeed, in the performance video, gives a chance for the coach to watch technique. So there could be some feedback there. As we move into the higher levels, then we'll be more specifically bringing in technique. And we may ask some questions in those cases more about the technique secrets and having a chance for the student to demonstrate them. But we're not specifically in that at the primer level other than the feedback that comes through the performance.
I see a lot of interest in more teachers wanting to become examiners themselves.
Yes, that is something that we plan to do this summer, is to recruit for more examiners or piano exam coaches. So if you are interested, you can email us at exams@pianoadventures.com. We will be doing some recruitment as well as some training sessions over the summer. And it would be great to have, if you feel like you're interested and you feel like you are able to do warm and encouraging comments for the students and have time. It is a paid thing as well. So please email us and let us know, and then we will reach out to you. I have a question from Jamie Rosenberg. Is there a discount for music schools like you offer for the hard copy books? I'm wondering if there's a way my business can monetize these exams as well. I'm glad you asked. We are currently in development with an institutional type of membership for the exams. We're not quite there yet, ready to launch. However, it is under discussion. We do have several music schools that have reached out that are also interested in assessing their students and also kind of using it as a teacher assessment tool as well to make sure the teachers are teaching the students the concepts in the Piano Ventures levels. You can also reach out to us at exams@pianoadventures.com. We can get on a list. Once we have the institutional sales kind of structure set up, we will reach out to you and can give you more information about that.
I've noticed there's a number of comments about the teacher atlas, and thank you for those postings. They're very kind comments. Of course, this has been an invaluable resource during the pandemic for so many teachers, but so many are still finding it continually valuable, not just for the students, but with all of the 100 videos or more that are along with that for the teacher's own professional development. There's so much in the teacher atlas in addition to observing or being able to access all of the books online for reference, but all of the videos, all of the support, both in creative improv and the whole technique and artistry online, all the recordings for the repertoire, Piano Adventures, piano literature books, and so on. So I want to highlight there is institutional subscriptions for that available. So that's what we're hoping to mirror for the examinations also. But just have to be patient with us on that one, if you would. But by all means, we invite you to become a member, a subscriber of that Teacher Atlas, the Piano Adventures Teacher Atlas. We're adding to it all the time. Becomes a wonderful resource that brings you very close into the Piano Adventures community. And if you do that, then that's also a wonderful next step towards becoming a Piano Adventures examiner. So we may be able to use it as an exam coach if you make that request, especially if you're a member of the Teacher's Atlas, so that you've got all of the resources available for that teaching Piano Adventures in the best possible practice.
I see some questions about the 50% off promo code. If that also applies if you purchase the bundle, theory and performance exam, it does. It gives you another $10 off. So remember, if you purchase the bundle, you already get a $10 discount for purchasing both at the same time. And with the promo code, you'll get an additional $10 off. So whether you're enrolling for the theory exam or for the theory and performance exam, you will get an additional $10 off.
Some are asking, how do I enroll in the Atlas? Best way, I think, is just go right to pianoadventures.com, and under the teacher area or the resources area, you'll see links to subscribe to the Atlas. It should be very easy. How about accessing the exams, even if you want to know more about it? Again, the pianoadventures.com will give you links. You can also go directly to exams.pianoadventures.com. Do I have that URL right, John?
Yes, exams.pianoadventures.com.
There's a question from Jimmy Wilson. Why only twice a year? I often have primer students finishing in January. I'm glad you asked. Actually, the video submission windows are very long. They're about 5 months each. So for the spring session, it actually starts February 1st, and you could submit videos all the way to June 30th. So we call them sessions. It's just to divide them up into 2 times a year. However, you can submit your videos pretty much almost year round. The only times that we're off where you cannot submit videos are July and August, because that's the time when we do our examiner training. Other than that, basically from June all the way, from September all the way to June, you could submit videos during that time. You would just need to enroll in the appropriate window. If you go to our website, if you go to the schedule area, you'll be able to see when you can enroll for each session. But essentially, you can submit them anytime during the year, except for the 2 months over the summer. If you have a question that we did not answer, you can feel free to email us at exams@pianoventures.com. Also, on our website, you can book a personal demo. So that is available if you would like to book like a 15 to 20-minute personal demo, or if you have very specific questions about your studio, you can go ahead and book a demo there. It's completely free, and we'd be happy to walk over through with you one-on-one. Well, I want to thank all of you for joining our webinar today. We hope that gave you a little bit more information about the exams and that you become a little bit more interested in the exams. Like I said, if you have any questions, you can feel free to either email us or you can book a demo with us. And we'd be happy to show you more about the exams. So that concludes our webinar. We hope you'll join us by submitting a student to enroll for an exam. We hope to see your students on the Bravo board soon. And thank you for joining us.
We appreciate your attention today, and it has been a pleasure talking with you. Join us also on the Piano Adventures Instagram, our Facebook, and our Facebook discussion forum as well. Look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks, everyone.